Amazing. The road to Omaha begins and ends here.
They win the college baseball crown.
This is Perfect Game College Baseball on ESPNU Radio, SiriusXM, Channel 84.
History happens here.
Here are your hosts, Daron Sutton and Hunter Pence.
We're here every week. This is Perfect Game College Baseball on SiriusXM's ESPNU. I'm Daron Sutton. My co-host is Hunter Pence. Hunter, we're into the new year. We're talking college baseball. We've got Oklahoma, San Diego State, and Jackson State represented. This is going to be a blast. And I know you get geeked out when you get to talk to coaches with a lot of depth and experience, and we have that with all three of our coaches today.
Yes, indeed. I'm looking forward to diving in, talking some baseball, and getting this week started right.
Yeah, we're going to get it started right. We've got a great set of coaches, as we said, Oklahoma State, San Diego, and Jackson State. Hunter and I, let's get it going. This is Perfect Game College Baseball.
Whammy.
This is Perfect Game College Baseball on ESPNU Radio. Here's Daron Sutton and Hunter Pence.
So excited to go to Jackson State, and we talked about it coming on the air. Omar Johnson joins us, and he is the head coach of this program. Omar, thanks for hanging out with Hunter and I. We really appreciate this. This is kind of like, even though we just passed Christmas, you're in Christmas right now. You shared with us your kids could not come to campus in the fall, so you couldn't run your fall like you wanted to. You had to virtually get them in shape and virtually communicate. How exciting is it to see the whites of their eyes? How exciting is it to get them out on the field? Kind of give me the vibe of what's going on for you at Jackson State on campus right now.
Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me. No, it was like I was back in grade school, and I couldn't wait. I couldn't sleep that night to actually see them, and we couldn't do anything that day because we had to take tests. But it challenged us this fall, trying to figure out a way to coach the kids and try to get to know some of them, because a lot of the guys you recruit and you know them over phone calls, and the Zoom allowed us to actually put a real face and get to know that person over some calls. So we made the most of our opportunities, but still I'm still so excited. I'm happy for baseball. I'm happy to have baseball. So many different things go through your mind when you don't realize my life. I've been doing this about 23 years. My life revolves around them coming to campus, preparing for the fall, having a fall, them leaving, them coming back in the wintertime and just getting prepared for a season. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I love hearing that, and I can completely relate to that baseball cocoon. And when you step out of it, it's a weird feeling, and that almost like kid Christmas feeling before you get an opportunity to come back to what you really love. So it's really cool to hear that from you, Omar. Hunter Pence here, and I want to ask a little bit about consistency from you, because you are so consistent, and about that routine. What is some of your normal routine when things are going normal? And what are some of your flow of the years as you bring in these kids?
Well, normally when we first get our kids back to campus, we'll have about three to maybe 4 weeks of individual workout. And we'll do a lot of skill work, cross bags, getting your gloves out. We bunt a lot. So, actually getting to the point where we can execute the bunt, because we just don't bunt to get it down. We bunt to get in a certain location because we have so many guys that are good runners. So, just that high skill level, we'll start out dealing with those type of things in the first 3 weeks. And then after that, we'll go into our 40 days of team practice. And, now we can play outside competition. And around us, we have so many different colleges and universities. So we'll play Mississippi College or Millsaps in a scrimmage game to get a chance to get a good look at our kids. And then after that's over, we'll go back into the individual work until they have finals, and then we'll send them home and then get them back in the spring, winter, because it's cold here. It snowed this morning. That's something that doesn't happen in Mississippi that often. We'll get them back, and we'll start the individuals again until the NCAA allows us to have team practice and get ready for the season. So it's a process, and we're so used to doing it. And those weekends, you don't imagine what you miss out on those weekends when you're used to having a game on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or a scrimmage on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So, like I said, it's a really good time for us right now. We're excited.
Yes, indeed. And bunting, this is something that you don't hear about too much, but I think it's a really powerful weapon. But the thing I want to really ask you about, because you talked about speed, is stealing bases, because you guys at your schools have been such such a powerhouse in stealing bases, and you really utilize that speed. I do want to get more into the bunting and the mechanics of that, because that's something that I've heard 10,000 different philosophies, and I'm not sure if it's just practice or mechanics or what your thoughts on that is. But I would like to hear a little bit about your bunting mechanics and also stealing bases and base running, and how you address that and utilize that speed.
Well, we recruit guys that can run. That's a big part of what we do. But the bunting, our general philosophy is trying to get a runner to third base with less than 2 outs. We make the game so much easier if we can get there and we don't have to force them to get a hit. So being able to advance a runner, being able to steal a base, those things are really important. What's the old saying? The bigger the game, the bigger the bunt. Sometimes, the teams don't put the importance on being able to advance a runner, being able to gain the base, to give the hitters an opportunity to actually score some runs. And we've been really fortunate to do that. That we've been almost in the top 5 or 10 at the 15 years I've been the head coach here in runs scored per game, just for that simple reason that we're trying to get guys in scoring position where it doesn't take 2 hits to score a run in an inning. But the bunt technique is hard, man. We put a lot of time into it. And then you got to think about the motivation to get these kids to kind of believe in it, and to buy into it a lot of times. But we kind of condition it. We have situations in scrimmage that if a runner gets on base, it's automatically on. It doesn't make a difference who's up in the lineup, 1 through 9. You got to get it down. And that kind of starts them into believing in the process. And then when they see, and you know how it works in baseball, these kids play by so much momentum that guy gets that guy to second base, and the next guy gets a hit. Now, we're all excited, and the next guy get a hit. So they kind of build off the momentum. So it's a little, convincing and showing them that, this is a productive way to play. But, long time, when those early University of Miami teams or Fullerton teams or Texas, when Garrido went to Texas, those teams were top. They were top 5 in the country every year. They won a national championship because in sack bunts, and that's a stat that's kind of lost, but that used to be a staple in college baseball, that guys, the guys in the top 10 in sack bunts generally were in the College World Series.
It's a lost stat. I want to get one more before I pass it to Daron. It's a lost stat because the math of baseball says that it's wrong. But if you experience baseball, and in my experience in 2012, we won because Blanco's bunting and teams throwing it away or getting a huge hit. Even pitchers, Barry Zito had a clutch bunt in 2012 that got us to the World Series. And if you want to talk about motivation for the hitters, I used to practice bunting for hours just if I wasn't seeing the ball well, because bunting makes you a better hitter. It's you completely tracking the ball. So not only are they gaining a skill of bat to ball, but they're learning to slow the ball down, and they're training their eyes subconsciously without even knowing it. So I'm a huge fan of the bunt, and I love that you're bringing this up, especially because the new era of baseball is slug, slug, slug. But what you just said is like the top sacrifice bunting teams. And I remember, Augie, in those Texas teams, it was like there was get a bunt down. I don't care if you're the 3-hole hitter, and they won, man. That gets me excited.
Well, we really work hard at it, and it's a big part of what we do, and like you said, putting the pressure on the defense. They don't understand. Those guys are really, 6'5", 6'4" runners. Every time they get a bunt down now, it's pressure on that guy to have to make a throw. And you do that 10 times a day with hitting ground balls and busting it down the line, people, that's one thing, putting pressure on these guys by just running down the line. Eventually you get some balls thrown away and extra base runners.
Omar Johnson is the head coach at Jackson State. We're really getting deep inside some of his philosophies and excited about, getting baseball out on the field for he and his program. Where are we in 2021, Omar, in the evolution of baseball as it pertains to HBCUs? And I know you work very closely with Tony Regans and Del Matthews at the commissioner's office. I hope your answer is we're in a time of growth. I hope your answer is there are some positive signs you're seeing, but I'd love to know your answer. Where are we in 2021 as baseball and HBCUs continue to evolve?
I think it's consistently getting better. The coaching's getting better. The athletes are getting better. It shows up on our, on the field. If you look at our conference in particular, how we compete in the midweeks against some of the other conferences. So, in baseball, pitching is the big thing that separates everyone, but it's getting to the point where it's going to get close to a even even level there. But we're getting good athletes. And we work hard to find these guys. So and with Perfect Game, we have my recruitment coordinator. He's out at those events, identifying athletes, and it takes some time, it takes some skill and some dedication to consistently get some guys to come and play at this level.
And you guys have nice support too. I was reading about your season ticket fan base. You guys are growing your campus support, your community support. Speaking of PG, just checking in on how you have. I'd love to ask you about a few guys briefly, because when you don't have a fall in person, I'm curious who was able to make it for the 21 roster. I know you had Jalen Williams, Hassan Standifer, Kobe White, Brandon West. Now, those are all a bunch of names that folks will learn as they go through the years. But of those gentlemen, and look, that's Southern California being represented. That's a couple of Southern California kids, actually 3. Did any of them make it? Will they make it to campus? How did that go with plugging into your recruits?
Well, Hassan is on campus right now, Sandiford. The other ones, they didn't quite make it, but we recruit a lot of kids from Puerto Rico that might not appear in some of the Perfect Game events.
Right.
But we have a pretty good, recruiting class, and then we do a lot of junior college kids. So, but Hassan did make it. Actually, I seen Hassan in Chicago, at an all-star type deal, and he's going to be a good player for us. We're really excited about him. I can't wait to see some of them out there. We hadn't had a big enough serving size to kind of grasp his ability yet.
Yeah, so I want to ask you about Hassan real quick, since he's there. That excites me because he's a Breakthrough Series alum, right? He went through the Breakthrough Series, which makes me excited. That means, as you said, the evolution, the communication is growing, it's working. He's a SoCal kid. I met him at Dream Series a couple of years ago. Tell us a little bit more about the young man, Hassan Standifer.
Well, when he came on his visit, actually before everything kind of hit, we got lucky in that sense that he had an opportunity to come before the COVID hit. So he had an opportunity to see campus and interact with us a little bit. But no, he's a quiet kid. He has some confidence about him. We're just waiting to get him out there to work with him a little bit to learn a little bit more about him.
Omar, a couple more kids that when I was looking at the numbers, and I know it was a shortened season, but you had 3 guys with 1,000 OPS hitting over 400. These kids were getting hits. We're swinging it. Jalen Williams, Equan Smith, and Chandler Dillard. Can you talk a little bit about what they had going, and a little bit about that offensive philosophy and their different styles?
Well, Chandler and Equan, those guys are well above average runners. They're 6'4", 6'5", 6'3", a little bit. And Chandler ended up batting in the third spot for us. He started developing to the point that he could hit a breaking pitch consistently, and he can handle legitimate velocity. So, he made some adjustments, big time adjustments. So we're excited about having him back. And Equan, played left field and batted second, a true number 2 hitter. I'm talking about, can hit the ball pretty much everywhere he needs to. A guy that can get a bunt down, and this guy that's going to do a good job with 2 strikes. So those guys, they play the game the right way. They play hard, and they consistently put a lot of pressure on the defense.
Omar, thank you. We really appreciate you hanging out with Hunter and I. This is a treasure to get to have you join us on our radio and the video portion of this. Thanks for taking the time. Have a great 2021 season, and all your guys and you and your family stay healthy, okay?
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Omar Johnson, the head coach at Jackson State. Incredible conversation, understanding the evolution of college baseball and especially the impact of a really solid HBCU like Jackson State. We'll go to Oklahoma. We'll go to San Diego State. This is Perfect Game College Baseball.
Welcome to the future. Welcome to PG Tech. When the best and most impactful in an industry join forces, you, the athlete, win. This is PG Tech, a partnership driven by Perfect Game and K-Motion, an innovator in human motion learning, along with several best-in-class companies elevating technology and athlete development. It's a combination of state-of-the-art technologies, 3D body measurement, high-speed cameras, launch monitors, radar, bat sensors in the PG Tech cloud, guiding players, coaches, scouts, and recruiters in making their best decisions. PG Tech will help athletes and instructors achieve their goals by understanding the cause and effect of a player's movement to improve the development of that player. In other words, this is the best answer. Welcome to the future. Welcome to PG Tech.
This is Perfect Game College Baseball on ESPNU Radio. Here's Daron Sutton and Hunter Pence.
So kind of excited to go to campus at Oklahoma. Look, we go there a lot for great PG events. It's fun, but I'm going to bring you guys behind the scenes. I want to give Skip Johnson a long time to talk about his players. That's why we have him here. But there's no way, hello, Skip, there's no way I am not bringing the conversation that we just had prior to starting to push the record button about you having Hunter Pence hand you your hat and the back and forth that you guys had. There's no way, Skip, that I'm not going to go back in memory lane. That's what's fun about sports. You were a JUCO coach. He was a JUCO star. Take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, I was at Navarro for 16 years. Loved my time there. Learned a lot about, what development takes. And I'll never forget Hunter being at Texarkana. Played at Arlington High School, right, Hunter?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. And was Nix the head coach when you played there?
Yep, David Nix.
David Nix was the head coach when you played there. His dad, Cotton Nix, is a really good friend of mine. I'm from Denton, Texas. Cotton Nix was a longtime scout with the Rangers. And I'll never forget it. You're leading our conference in hitting. And we went up to y'all's place, little bitty ballpark, as you well know, and kind of struggled a little bit. And then you came down our place for the second half. We played a 7 and a 9 on a Wednesday and a 7 and a 9 on a Saturday. And I think you went like 9 for 12 the next time and just wore it out.
I definitely
doubles, but it was pretty awesome.
I definitely remember that so vividly because I remember it was Ricky Stover was the pitcher at our place, and we didn't hit anything. And one of your guys hit either a triple or a homer, and I actually heard what they screamed out of the dugout. They said, "Twist the dagger." They screamed it, "Twist the dagger." And I mean, Deggs, he had a rampage on us losing at home. And we came down to your place and we had a fire lit under us. And I'll never forget the Golden Corral buffet and how it was like, I was so pumped to get to eat food after that one.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Yeah, it's junior college is fun times because you got to spend so much more time with the players, and get to really work on your skill set.
I learned more in junior college baseball than I ever learned the rest of the way. And that's a fact because you have so much time and it's the 101 of baseball. And you guys, y'all could really pitch, Skip. Like facing those guys was never an easy task. I do want to ask you a little bit about your pitching philosophy because everywhere you go, the pitching just gets better and better. It's been that way at Oklahoma since you've been there. Talk to me a little bit about working with these young pitchers, these college pitchers, and how you get them so dialed in so quickly.
I think the biggest thing is, number one, finding the guy that can really pitch, finding that talent a little bit, that's number one. Number two is you got to make sure you show them how much you care before you show them how much you know. And once you start building that relationship, you kind of start really kind of molding that kid and making sure, number one, he can repeat his delivery in a high pressure situation. Number two is to understand being in control yourself in a high environment and pressure situation. And number three, being as competitive as you can. And those three things are really things that we really go through every day. We talk about, the things that you have to be able to do to pitch is you got those two pitches for strikes, command a fastball or control a fastball and throw a breaking ball for a strike. You got to be able to hold runners and you got to be able to field your position. And then we kind of start molding the kid into attacking with his strengths versus the hitter's weakness. And a lot of times pitching's an art. It's not a science. And what we've done today in our society is we're trying to make it a science instead of making it art. And I'm kind of a little bit from the new school and a little bit from the old school. And I'm still learning today. That's why I'm still in it. I was at Navarro for 16 years and really thought I knew what I was doing. But I got the opportunity to go to the University of Texas and coach for one of the best coaches, or I think is the best college baseball coach ever, Augie Garrido. And I think that we should name the coach of the year after Augie Garrido. And, my first year there, I'll never forget it. We had 40 wins, made it to a regional tournament. And, I'm thinking I go to recruit. I put my bag on the conveyor belt to go through security. And the lady comes to our game. She said, "Hey, Coach, how you doing?" I was like, "I'm doing great. I'm sorry about y'all's year." And I thought, what she mean by that? And really was basically to tell me that the watermark at the University of Texas at that time was to go to Omaha. And so I really didn't understand what it meant until the second year I was there. And we had 4 pitchers. Brandon Workman has won 2 World Series with Boston Red Sox. Cole Green was a 3rd rounder. Chance Ruffin was a 1st rounder. Staten Thomas. And there were 4 freshmen that we had to pitch. And it was like a, peaks and valley. When we went through it, I'd go down there and work on all those things at once until, we went to Missouri. We give up 31 runs one night, and we were facing Aaron Crow, and the wind was blowing out 30 miles an hour. It was, 30 degrees outside, and I'll never forget it as long as I live. We took a 9-run lead in the first inning off Aaron Crow. Well, I couldn't get somebody loose fast enough before we give up 31 runs. Nobody talked to me for 48 hours. I'm like sitting there like, this is crazy. Next day we get beat 11-0, and Ruffin pitched on Saturday, and he said, "Coach, can I talk to the team?" And I sit right behind Augie in the bus and say, "Hey, Coach, Ruffin wants to talk to. He's a freshman. He wants to talk to the team." Well, he says, "I'm fine with that. Go ahead." So, I think I'm fired. I left a place at Navarro where it was, it was fun. And all of a sudden I go to Texas and I'm like feeling the pressure, and so we get back. He beats Missouri 9-2. We get back that night. I walk into my oldest son's room upstairs, and it's 11:27. I'll never forget it. In my other son's room, and I'm like, "Lord, why am I here? There's got to be a reason." Well, I think I was sent there to understand what the environment was teaching you. I could teach the mechanics. I could teach all those little bitty things that go into a delivery and teach a guy how to be competitive. But I needed to learn how to be in control yourself one pitch at a time, because it's about one pitch and the attitude that you go to and you start trying to teach in that environment. And so wasn't a better environment to learn in than Texas, where, the expectation is unrealistic. It's a watermark that is really tough. And I learned it from Coach Garrido and understand it. Ken Revisa, a sports psychologist, and those things, I started really working on it. And it's kind of funny. The pitching coach for the Colorado Rockies, he played against him. His name's Steve Foster. I played against him in high school. He's from DeSoto, and he was an area scout when I was at Navarro. He calls me and says, "Hey, Skip, man, it's kind of weird. You doing all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." He goes, "I want you to read 2 books. The first book is The Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews. The second book is Golf's Sacred Journey by David L. Cook." And so I read those books in 2 weeks. And the first book is 7 Decisions of Success, told in story form. Andy Andrews lived under this bridge, and he wrote this, this book where a guy had everything and he lost it. And he basically, the decisions are the buck stops here, learn from the wise, have a decided heart and stuff like that. And then Golf's Sacred Journey by David L. Cook's more of a guy that, had to make up 3 shots at a junior amateur to win it on the back 9 at a golf course in San Antonio. And I'll tell you what's amazing about the 2 books as well is he makes up 3 shots and wins the junior amateur. Well, he's on the Nike tour or whatever tour. He's got to make up 3 more shots on the back 9, and he makes a 15. He gets in his car. He comes to a road that splits. It's either Links of Utopia or wherever. Well, he pulls up on this driving range. He gets out and nobody's there, and he starts hitting golf balls, and he's just strapping every one of them. He's like, "Man, this is weird." A guy pulls up on his tractor. To make a long story short, this guy, he moved out of Houston and moved into and built this golf course because he is an innovator in teaching. And so basically he said, "You give me 7 days and I'll fix your game." So he says, "Meet me at the driving range at 8:00 in the morning." He's sitting there hitting balls, and that pro says, "Hey, what's wrong with your grip?" He said, "Nothing's wrong with my grip." He says, "Well," he starts, "What is wrong with my grip?" And the pro goes, "Well, you have zero conviction in what you're doing. Go down by that sycamore tree down there, write all the reasons why you grip the club that way." And the next morning, he says, "Meet me at the river." When he gets there, the pro's fly fishing in a canoe, and he's teaching him effort, rhythm, and balance. And emotional control, when he catches a fish, the guy gets up or flips it. Next day, he does flies in a plane, an internal, external checklist. Next day, he pitches washers for money. Basically, what he's trying to teach him is see it, feel it, trust it. Your effort controls your rhythm and timing. If you can repeat your delivery, it's no different than golf. Me and Hunter's out there playing golf one day, and he's been hitting at 300, and I've been strapping it, but I've been hitting at 270. All of a sudden, I want to get in there and I want to try to do the same thing, and I use a little bit more rhythm. I get out of my rhythm. I use too much effort. I get out of that rhythm. I push it or hook it, and all of a sudden, it takes the great ones 0 to 5 swings or 0 to 5 pitches to get back in rhythm. The good ones 5 to 10, and from 10 on. And you can see it in today's world, even in the big leagues. The guys will get in there, they'll get that guy 1-2, and they'll end up walking that guy because they're just trying to punch the guy out instead of, getting the guy out. If you could throw 27 pitches and get 27 outs, would you? That's the question. And we talk a lot about just throwing ball to target because that's really the only thing that you can control.
Wow. You hit on –
it's quick, but that's kind of what we do.
I mean, you literally just painted a picture of Picasso. Like you painted the Mona Lisa of baseball pitching and that sort little thing. And these are the things that I love about being in the clubhouse and talking with some of the most elite pitchers, guys who have done it for a long time. And we talk about the art versus the science, and there's the new school versus the old school. And the new school is like, we have these sheets and it's like, this guy's weak on slider down and away, and he's a fastball up and in, and you got to get a change up down and whatever count. And a lot of times, a lot of the young pitchers that are coming up, some of the veterans like the Lance Lynn's, the Samardzes, the Johnny Cuetos, they want to teach these guys the art, to feel it. Like Johnny feels pitching. Like you just said, effort, rhythm, balance, one pitch at a time. It's like, what is the hitter doing? What's his movements doing? I'm watching what he's doing. What are my strengths? What's my strongest pitch? Like if you don't have the command of a slider down and away very well that day, and that's not your strength, why do you try to throw that? Because you might hang it. Anyway, just like absolutely phenomenal stuff. So it doesn't surprise me that you've put that soul that you just gave us in that talk into your youth year in and year out, and that's passion. And I know you mentioned Augie Garrido, and Brandon Belt named his second son Augie after him. I know that this guy is a powerful, like he leaves a mark on everyone. And I've watched a lot of his speeches on YouTube. They're legendary. I mean, you hit on so many things that pulled my heartstrings that I don't even know where to go from there. But I'm gonna ask more about the Dane Akers no-hitter against LSU and being in the moment, because you have to be in the moment. You have to have that conviction you talked about. What were you feeling through that? This is against LSU, mind you. This isn't just this is a hitting team. Talk a little bit about Dane Akers and that no-hitter.
Yeah, I mean, LSU's a good program, and there's no doubt about that. And it was kind of the funny thing about that Dane deal was he was a junior college transfer from San Jac, and he had been at Rice, and he had a relationship with our assistant coach, Clay Van Hook, and we signed him. We were worried about him getting to school, and he ends up getting to school. And I'll never forget it is, those junior college guys, when you get them at Division I, they got to be ready like right now. They got to go in and play. And so the whole fall was like trying to get him to understand routines and being in control of himself. So it was one of those deals where, tough at times to learn that. And so we started going through that process, and I'll never forget it. When that game started, he was really, getting after it. And I'd walk down there, you okay? Hey, one pitch at a time, take a breath. And I'll never forget in that game, he comes off the mound, the umpire meets him and says, hey, man, you got to speed your routine up. You got to get back up on the hill. We're going to call balls and strikes. I was like, hey, man, don't worry about that. Who cares? They throw a ball. Who cares? Next pitch, But what was really cool about that no-hitter, more so than him just throwing the no-hitter, is how it brought – as well as anything, Hunter, you've been in the dugout and you've seen your name not in the lineup and you were bitter that day. You didn't pull for your teammate. I looked down there in about the third or fourth inning, and the guys I could kind of tell that had the bad attitude, they were hooked up. They were sitting on the front row on that front bench like a bunch of old crows screaming, yelling. But there was one guy, our Friday night guy, Cade Cavalli, that was a first rounder. He was screaming at him, next pitch, next pitch. I mean, it was he was in the game with him. And that's where we talk about all the time as coaches. Hey, you can listen to us, but it's your peers that push each other. It's the guys sitting in the dugout that push each other, that really push each other to a level where you're running pose with them. You're doing pickups with them. You're throwing bullpens with them. That's what separates you when you have those peers pulling for you too. That gives you a little extra benefit, you know, and I think that was what was really cool. And I don't know who was trying harder at the end of the game, either the hitters or Acker. You know, and they were just trying so hard. It was just ends up, I mean, he goes 3-0 on the first hitter. I got two guys in the bullpen throwing bullets, and I'm like, I'm fixing to get this guy, you know. I'm fixing to have to get this guy out of here. And he ends up turning around and strikes a guy out. And I'm like, wow. You know, it was pretty cool.
Epic.
Oh, man.
Epic stuff. And by the way, too, Hunter, and you know this, and obviously Skip, you know, a great story because he's a Rice guy, then he's a JUCO guy, then he's, you know, working with you. Now he's a professional. Before we say goodbye to you, I want to give you a chance to talk about a couple of babies that I was able to see as PG alums and PG All-Americans. How's Cade Horton doing? Because I know he's a great football player too. And Jace Barofin as well. How are those two athletes doing for you? I know it's been a unique fall, but how are they doing for you?
Cade Horton is doing really good right now. I mean, he was a guy that was a two-way guy, was a quarterback, and he went over with Lincoln, who was on the scout team as a wide receiver. And so Major League Baseball moves the draft back a month. Well, that makes him sophomore eligible. And he comes over, and I was sitting in the bullpen when he came in practice. He went over and talked to Lincoln, which, you know, where people don't really see it, and Hunter knows this because he was in high school, and there were football players and baseball players. How me and Lincoln got together for Kyler Murray, and he didn't miss one football practice or miss one baseball game. And Lincoln understood it, so it was really special, you know, to understand the relationship that me and Lincoln have about, you know, we're just trying to develop players and develop young men. And so it was good. Cade went and talked to Lincoln. Lincoln said, hey, I understand. He comes out, and I was sitting in the bullpen. He walks out there. I was like, man, who is that guy? He had gained 20 pounds, you know, in the weight room with our strength coach, football strength coach, Benny Wiley. I was like, how does he do that? So I called Benny, and I was like, Benny, what's going on? He's like, we feed them 8 times a day. And I'm like, what? Well, why can't we get guys look like it? But anyway, he goes out, and I didn't want him to start throwing, you know, a baseball off the mound until we did some things. We threw maybe 5 or 6 bullpens, and he gets out there, and I mean, it was pretty special. He's, you know, 94 to 96 power breaking ball. But what was more so special was his presence and how he was in control of himself. And I was really, really happy about that. And he had a great fall swinging a bat. And it was it's a tribute to the work that he's put in and getting his body a lot stronger and working on it every day. Jace has really gotten a lot better. You know, in high school in Oklahoma, he might not see the 90, 92 all year around. And coming into the fall, it was just they can, you know, Coach Van Hook and Coach Overcash continue to work on his approach. And Jace is a unique guy because I think he's going to be one of those hybrids where he can go, you know, center field, left field, right field, and even go play first base. And I think that's going to be one of those deals where it's going to help his future. He really swung the bat probably the last 2 or 3 weeks better than he did early. And, you know, one thing that was we were really fortunate, we were able to practice with all our kids all fall because, you know, in the COVID deal, you have, you know, guys missing, guys not missing. But, you know, we had all our guys together this fall and it was really unique.
Hunter's going to get mad at me, but we have to let you go. I mean, Hunter would like to talk to you for the entire thing, but I got Mark Martinez waiting. He's already mad. You took 2 or 3 from him last year. So we got to let San Diego State have some time. We really appreciate this, Skip. This was unbelievable. If you'll join us again in season, we'd love to have you back.
Absolutely, guys. Y'all have a great day, and thanks for the opportunity.
Peace. Excellent stuff.
Thank you, Skip.
When we come back, a conversation with San Diego State and where they're going, what challenges they're dealing with. This is Perfect Game, college baseball.
You can tell right away if it's going to be a good glove or not. Broken in good, so when it breaks in nice, you want to use it for years. And I got the gold on it now. If you're into it mentally, you're getting your pre-pitch routine. Defense doesn't slump. It doesn't come and go like offense. If you lock it in mentally, it's going to be there.
This is Perfect Game College Baseball on ESPNU Radio. Here's Daron Sutton and Hunter Pence.
Kind of feels like I'm going back home as a Southern California kid. I always feel right when I head to San Diego. Obviously, we understand the challenges that have gone with our globe, but specifically in California and some of the challenges for athletes and athletically. The head coach at San Diego State, pride of the Mountain West, is joining us, and excited to talk with Mark Martinez on this show. Mark, thanks for spending time with Hunter and I. Really appreciate it. I guess we'd like to know from your perspective, bring us onto campus with you. What were you able to do with your athletes in the fall, even if it was communication from afar? And what do the next couple of weeks and maybe month or so look like for you at San Diego State with the baseball program?
Well, first of all, thanks for having us on. Thanks for having our program represented. It's awesome. It's an honor to be on. So thank you so much. But, really, we're very fortunate here at San Diego State. We have great leadership. Our administration did a great job getting us back on the field. Obviously, it didn't go as exactly the way I want it to be planned because, I'm a baseball coach. We want things done a certain way. So, but we got to get on the field for about 8 weeks, sporadically. It wasn't, a full week by any means. It was, 4 days 1 week, 3 days 1 week, 5 days 1 week. But we got an opportunity to get out there and kind of move around. It changed, obviously, the mental aspect of our guys. It was awesome to have them out there and run around, getting better, doing training. And so that was good. We shut down the Friday before Thanksgiving. And so for the past almost 16 weeks, our guys have been kind of on their own. We actually sent them home right after that. We're all virtual here, academically. So they all went home, kind of got some TLC at home, and hopefully they've been training. We'll see. But we are quarantining right now as a group for about 7 days, and we're supposed to start this coming Friday with some light workouts and kind of, looking forward to January 29th when we start our team practice. But we're very fortunate. At San Diego State, a lot of state schools here in California didn't even get a chance to practice this fall, and a lot of other schools didn't get to practice very much. So I feel very fortunate. We got some work in, obviously not to the level that we've enjoyed in the past, but I feel like we're prepared to kind of get after this season as best we can.
That's amazing, Mark. It's an honor to get to talk to you. You've been doing this since basically I was born. And your journey. You look like you're my same age, though, so I'm a little bit embarrassed. But your journey's been incredible, and you've worked with some just amazing baseball minds. And I just want to ask you, the difference between being in New Mexico and that whole style, and then getting to work with Tony Gwynn for so many years. And what did you take from the two different schools of thought? And can you kind of share a little bit of that journey with us?
Yeah, absolutely. Before I kind of get into the story, my mentor, my guy that kind of put me in coaching, Rich Alday, passed away this past week. We just lost him this past week, and I owe so much to him. He gave me the opportunity. I went to the University of New Mexico to get my master's, volunteered my time there, and he saw enough in me to kind of allow me to continue coaching and spent a lot of time there, 15 years, and kind of cut my teeth under some of the best baseball minds, Coach Alday, of course, but him being involved with ABCA being involved with USA Baseball. I got to be around, the Skip Bertmans of the world and Ron Polks and Mark Marcus and Dave Bingham's. And I mean, I got to sit in those rooms and kind of, stand back as much as possible and not interrupt. But I got to learn so much baseball from some of the greatest college baseball minds around. And Coach Alday put me in those positions. He put me in the room during those ABCA conventions. And so I learned so much baseball, obviously, from the time I started as a grad assistant through my 15 years at San Diego State. And lo and behold, I got a chance, we played San Diego State in conference. And lo and behold, I got a chance to meet Tony when he was kind of rehabbing his knee towards the back end of his career. He was in batting practice here at San Diego State, and he was up in right field watching Tony Jr. take some batting practice. And I just kind of, another player, Anthony Lovato, thank God for that guy. He said, let's go meet Tony. And we walked up there and sat down, and actually Tony said hello. He knew who I was, but he said, hey, I want to talk to Anthony. And so I had to leave. So he took the player. Again, it's just kind of true to form with Tony. He wanted to kind of talk to Anthony. He was a left-handed hitter. He wore number 19 in honor of Tony Gwynn. And so that obviously gave me an opportunity, got my foot in the door, meeting Tony and talking to him over the next few years about his transition from professional baseball into college coaching. And when he got the job here, he called me and he said, hey, I want you to come work at San Diego State. And at the time, I'm like, there's no way I can afford to come out here and do it. But again, I've been blessed to be around people that believe in me. Tony was one of them. He made it happen for me. And I had an opportunity to come in here and be around a Hall of Famer and every day and talk hitting, talk baseball. And not only that, just life skills. I think everyone knows what a unbelievable man Tony Gwynn is and was. It just kind of changed my life. He took our family under his wing, gave us an opportunity to kind of flourish here in Southern California. And again, I've been very blessed. And he's the one that put me in position to be where I am today, to be the head coach at San Diego State. And again, I've just been very, very lucky to be around people that believe in me. And obviously, there's a lot of hard work that goes into it, but I've been surrounded by just great, great people. And I continue to be surrounded by great people now with my assistant coaches, Joe Oliveira, Sam Peraza. Those guys make me better. Heck, I really don't do much. I just kind of I write everyone coattails. But honestly, I've just been very blessed to be around some really great baseball minds. So I'm very lucky.
A couple things that I was interested in is I want to talk mindset for the conference tournament because you guys have won the conference tournament from 2013 to 2018, 5 out of the 6 years. There's got to be something at the, from the top down. I want to talk a little bit about mindset in the conference tournament and how you guys have been able to accomplish that. That's incredible.
Well, I think the one thing that we try to do is train ourselves, and to put ourselves into a regional setting, and it kind of, that's what the conference tournament kind of is. It's a practice for a regional. And so all year you want to win, obviously, the regular season, something we haven't done here since 2004. I'm embarrassed to say that. But the one thing that we've trained for is kind of setting up our training, our pitching, everything towards a regional. And so the opportunity during a conference tournament is you kind of get a little bit of a rehearsal. Obviously, you got to win that thing to get to a regional, especially when you don't win the conference. I think that was the mindset kind of going in, even when I first got here. Tony said, the automatic berth is the conference tournament. It's not the conference champion. And so we got to start training to win that thing in order to be prepared to win a regional, get in a regional. Now, we haven't done that yet. Obviously, it's taken a lot of hard work to get to this point and have that opportunity. But that's kind of been the mindset. Train that way, set your pitching up, set everything, your mindset for that conference tournament. It is kind of a precursor to try and go and win a regional.
Mark Martinez is the head coach at San Diego State University, and getting to know his players, his team, kind of the journey of his team. You lose 2 great guys to professional baseball, and Anthony Walters and Casey Schmidt. So on they go, right? And they've earned the right. And so you look to other guys to help you out. I know I grew up right by Saddleback College, so it's kind of turned out to be a school that's provided for you. I know you've lost Carson Matthews, who was at Saddleback for the year, But then there's Mike Jarvis, who may be able to help you out. Tell me a little bit about Mike Jarvis, who he is. I know he's been a center fielder. You know he has the athleticism to play just about anywhere. Tell me about Mike, Coach.
Well, Mike, he was a infielder, at Saddleback, and even growing up in high school, but he's a tremendous athlete. Last year for the season, you had Anthony Walters coming in, and Anthony is a pretty good player, third round pick, and he's a really dynamic shortstop. And I said to Mike, listen, we know you can play the infield. Scouts know you can play the infield. I think there's one opportunity here is you're probably our best outfielder, and we're kind of losing some of your athleticism. Let's showcase what you can do in center field. And he bought in 100%. He's like, absolutely, Coach, want to do that. Obviously played a really great center field for us. It was a short-lived deal, during a very COVID-shortened season, but did really, really well, and actually came in and played some infield for us during our Oklahoma series. Because we had some injuries. One of our kids actually did not make the trip because he got sick, and Mike came in and played. So it was a very seamless transition. And then lo and behold, we, fast forward to this year, kind of on paper, you're saying, okay, we're going to be really good in the middle. You got Carson Matthews and Cade Miller playing short and second, respectively. They're one of the best catchers in the country. And Wyatt Hendry, our pitching staff, we feel like is going to, probably carry the mail. And then you got Mike Jarvis in center field. And so that's kind of how you want to build a program. And so then Carson, just in non-contact drill, he kind of was doing a Jeter play. And we do practice the Jeter play because it's part of being an athlete. And he ran into the 6 hole and picked up the ball, threw it across the diamond and landed on his knee and kind of blew his ACL. And so right away we said, well, we have a solution in Mike Jarvis, and Mike, he's a super senior, so to speak. He was a senior last year. He got his year back, and the leadership that he demonstrates day in and day out is unbelievable. He's a blessing to have in our program. I mean, does everything right. He's a vicious worker, not only on the field, but off the field. He's a scholar athlete. He does great in school. He's graduating from college, the whole 9 yards. And so to have that leadership, move into the infield was actually a huge shot in the arm for us. And because it gave us some leadership in a very, you lose Casey Schmidt, who's really good on the left side. You lost Anthony Walters on the left side. And so you're kind of starting over. Well, no, let's roll it back and say, no, we got a guy that's already been in our program for 3 years now. Let's put him at short, and he's made a tremendous difference just in that dynamic. So you have 2 really good athletes up the middle, and Cade Miller and Mike Jarvis, and you just move Matt Ruddick from right field to center field, that's kind of his natural position, who hit over 300 in the Cape. So he's a pretty good player as well. So Mike's been a great addition to our program, and we're just very lucky to have him for 1 more year.
Hey, Mark, we really appreciate it. Stay healthy. Good luck getting back on the field. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, guys. Hey, best in baseball. The one thing I'll add is that baseball players are tough. We deal with adversity all the time, and that's what I've told our guys from day one, is that, we're equipped to go battle this whole thing, deal with adversity every day, and what a great opportunity for our group to get better and show everybody kind of how to deal with some bad stuff that's going on, not only with the pandemic, with all the social justice and all those things that go on, and we're attacking it every day, and our guys have done a great job. So I just wanted to make that shout out to our guys, and I just appreciate what we've done in our program during this time. So thank you for having me, guys. Really appreciate your time, and go Aztecs.
Very well said. Very well said. We want to thank Skip Johnson as well at Oklahoma. We want to thank Omar Johnson, who joined us as well from Jackson State. We're here every week. This is Perfect Game College Baseball on SiriusXM's ESPNU.